Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Season 1 finale of Content with Creation. Jose Gonzalez here. It is so great to be here, and I just can't believe that the show's already seen 6-7 months of content. It's been phenomenal getting to go on these journeys with so many different incredible people, and I can't wait for you guys to get to hear today's journey featuring a good friend of mine who I've been following online for the better part of the last decade in the realm of wrestling content. If you've seen any sort of pep rallies on the E! Network, some countdowns on YouTube, or heard someone try to impersonate a bazooka gun on a podcast, his art was this gentleman right here. Jake Smith, everybody. Jake, how are you?
Hey, what is up, Jose? It's nice to be doing some podcasting with you again.
I know, it's literally been 84 years.
Oh my god, yeah, no. Oh my god, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to do this today.
I am so glad to be catching up with you. It feels like there's actually been like a whole pandemic since the last time we've done this. Who would have thought?
No, for real.
Yeah, so I mean, things have definitely been exciting in your sphere. I mean, first things first, Golden Era has really taken off over the last year or so.
Crazy.
This huge metamorphosis that you and Joey have done from back. It's like a completely different show from when I was on it at the very beginning. Obviously, things did change with time. You gave it a facelift. You said, no, we're going back to weekly podcasting, and damn it, it's been the highlight of my Friday morning every day.
Oh, wait. Well, I remember when we started. Well, thank you so much for saying all that, first off. But I remember when we were starting it, because Jose, you were like kind of the man behind the scenes with a lot of what we were doing with like Diva Dirt Weekly back in the day.
Yeah.
So like, not many people know that, but yeah, now you know. So Jose has been on the weekly podcast game with me for a while. So when we started Golden Era back in the day, I think we were all kind of like, no, we're not doing this every week. We're like this is too much. We've got to like keep it chill, keep it like monthly or something. Or we weren't even really on a consistent schedule. We were always just kind of like, hey, you want to record today?
It's like, and even when we didn't want to record, sometimes we caught someone, whether it be in their car, at Target.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. Someone actually was at a Target checkout in the podcast.
Oh my god, yeah. One of our guests, which it was so funny to me because like I was like, you think like, you know, I mean, maybe just because like you and I are like, okay, we've done podcasts, we've done audio stuff before, like, you know, like be in a quiet environment, be in a good space, but like there'd be like, burp, burp. We're like,
I will say the one saving grace was that there was no video part of it.
Thank God.
I mean, maybe for the better part, we should have had it so people, you know, actually have something to know. Like, hey, get it together.
Yeah, so I will say, you know, like, so we were doing a lot of that early on, and, you know, just having fun with it. We all loved that period of wrestling, and we had a good time with it, and we would cover, like, months at a time when we were starting it, and then I think, like, around, like, we basically, like, went on hiatus, and we're like, all right, we'll figure this out soon, and I really wanted to bring it back, I was thinking about it, and this was like mid-pandemic, maybe like spring of 2021. And I was like, you know, this show really could be something. I think it has legs. So I talked to Chris about it, and I was like, Chris, would you want to like maybe do this again? And he was like, no.
That's one under the Chris Riddle's retired column for the show.
So and Joey and I had like talked about maybe doing something together at one point, because I had been doing a few Ring the Bell projects at the time, and like Joey and I have like been friends online for years, and I just love his personality, and I was like, hey, you know, you and I like have really annoying fun together. Would you want to do this? And he was so excited about it. He was like, he's so cute. He's like, I can't believe like you're asking me to do this. Like, he's like, I've been like watching your content forever. I'm like, that's weird. But just like,
I've been around. I don't know if you know that.
I have. Yeah. I've been doing this over a decade. It was just crazy. Yeah. So then, like, Joey and I were like, you know what? Let's do it. And we decided to make it weekly, which really has increased our audience significantly and really gotten us a lot of traction. You know, like, the girls repost it all the time. You know, like, when I see them in person, like, Jazz and Trish talk to me about the show and how much they love it. So it's just so cool. We're having a lot of fun with it. And for me, that's really what it's all about. Like, I just want to have a good time and enjoy. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, like right now, the podcast is not paying the bills. I'd love it if it did, but like right now, this is a fun passion project for me, and I just love it. I'm looking forward to growing the audience. I just ordered a bunch of business cards with our QR code on it to the Spotify link. Yes. So, and I will be distributing those at Mania to people, and I don't care if you don't want it, you're getting it. So, but I love doing the show, and Joey and I are having so much fun with it.
Oh my God. And it translates so much too. It's like the breath of fresh air that it definitely needed. Like I look forward to like all the different like golden era isms that you guys had, whether it's like Jesus mad at the end of an episode.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of crazy like on style intro are they going to do this week? Like the editing style. It's just, I could have never imagined what it turned out to be over the last year, but it really is a staple. Every Friday morning, I'm like, okay, new golden era. Let's see what's good.
I was so mad at myself because this past Friday, so I recently got a new computer, and the way I like my files are exporting is like different, and I accidentally uploaded the raw file, and like someone was like, how come you didn't include like Sable and Stephanie's audio? I was like, I definitely did. And then like I went back and listened. I was like,
because I heard that version, I was thinking, oh wait, are they trying to get like some brand stuff together? So maybe they're thinking like DMCA or
no. I mean, I'm sure like they're tons of copyright violations, but like whatever. No, I accidentally did that. I went back. The correct version's up now. And it's great too. I think a lot of people actually went back and listened, which is so nice. Because really, honestly, those little extra audio clips, I think just really make it like is that there,
especially this week. I mean, it's are you hungry, Stable? You want some food? Like you gotta have that.
like how could you not have that? And then like there's just like some clips that I will die laughing. So like what I do is I download like all the full Raw and SmackDowns, and then like I cut out like all the women's clips and stuff like that and share them with Joey. So like there's sometimes like this upcoming week, for example, like where I'll just like text Joey. I'm like, you have this to look forward to this week, and it was like Stephanie attacking Sable in the parking lot with the limo, and like it's her like pulling on the door handle like. like it's just like this will be fun. So, but it's just so funny though because like Joey and I always take notes and we pull out a lot of the same talking points too a lot of the time too. So it works out so well, and we have so much fun with it. I love the feedback from people. My favorite thing is seeing someone be like, I went back and I watched this match because you guys talked about it and it was really good. I'm like, yes. And like, honestly, and turning on people who came into wrestling like later on down the road, like, and never saw this era of the women in general. Like, you know, they're like, oh, wow, I thought like, you know, Gail Kim just did this. Like, I didn't know this was her shtick and stuff. So it's really fun to like turn people onto that kind of stuff.
Also, how is it all? It's literally going to be 20 years this year that Gail debuted and won the title.
Crazy. I cannot believe that. And that was in your hometown, right?
Yeah, 2 years before I started watching wrestling. So I missed out on some good shit. I also missed out on Layla winning the women's title because I didn't go to that SmackDown.
No! Oh my God! Oh, yeah, Buffalo gets some good stuff.
Yeah, when the power stays on after.
Wait, was that your Raw?
That was the last pay-per-view we've had in this city, and I'm never gonna live it down. It's like we really had the power go out.
No. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh well.
Yeah, no, but definitely. It's so crazy, like, and it's wild too though, because like a lot of the stuff we're talking about right now, we're in summer of 2003, like we're talking about stuff that happened 20 years ago, which doesn't feel like it.
I know, that's the scary part.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I'm like an old enough person to be like, I remember watching this. So it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, something else that I love that the show does is it does intersect with other parts of, like, 2000s culture. So, obviously, us being millennials, we have fond memories. So, I mean, thinking about something like this where we're broadcasting, like, online over the internet, could you have ever imagined, like, back in 2003 doing anything like this?
No way. Like, I mean, it's so weird, and it's so cool in a way. Like, no matter how big or small, like, these things are, to, like, be doing something you kind of dreamed about in a way, like, as a possibility. It's just cool in itself because like back then there was really no like media. Internet was like even like still like not really a thing. Like I was going to like raja.net or whatever to like read like wrestling results. Like there weren't like these like websites like there are now. And it's just like it's crazy that there's content and that there's literally like shows dedicated to interests of people. So it's cool to be producing one of those for sure.
Yeah, and especially coming from an era where a lot of it was all radio or like television too.
Sure.
Like you wouldn't think of like anything like this kind of being like something that everyone seems to be doing nowadays.
Oh yeah, and I think that's why like I mentioned, like a lot of the women like, you know, talk to me about the show and stuff like, and like a few of the girls have actually like followed me randomly like on social media who we've talked about, like Lita follows me on like Instagram and stuff like that, and like Trish and Jazz and all of them. And I think a lot of it is because like they were at a time when the women were not the focal point of the show. They were just there. So it's like, I think for them, it's very cool. Like, wow, like someone was paying attention to this. Like, I think the women in general of any era, sans probably now, are amazed by that. Like, I remember I said to Alicia Fox something once about like something she posted. She's like, oh my God, I didn't think anyone noticed that. And I was like, yeah, I don't care about what anyone else is saying. Like
Yeah, I mean, was it when she quit on the app?
It was something about like her shoes for WrestleMania or something.
I mean, I think today was like what, the 17-year anniversary of Twitter, and like people are saying like, what's your favorite tweet of all time? And I see someone that posted like the Marie screenshot.
Oh, that was Chris.
Yeah, I know. Attacked by lesbian at Bed Bath and Beyond.
Oh my God, iconic.
Yeah, I mean, LGBTQ plus icon Maurice.
Yes, we love it.
Oh God, I'm trying to think of everything. So like back in the day, I mean, there were so many weird things about the internet, like whether it was downloading a song and realizing it was porn, or just like kind of like waiting forever for something to load, and then a phone call comes in and it totally messes it up. I mean, what was your internet culture like growing up?
So like a lot of my internet culture, like I remember like downloading music and how cool that was. But at the time, like, you know, I think I was like burning a lot of CDs. So I know like I was playing with my like figurines and stuff like that. And it was so cool when I could like find like their theme or whatever that they actually had. So I was like, oh my God, I have this person's music now. And I had this really cool remix of like China's theme that I still wish I had. But I would like, I remember that was like a big thing for me. And then like AIM was like a huge thing for me back then. Like I was definitely like part of like the AIM culture around that time period, because like that, I feel like that got really big maybe when I was in like 7th grade. So like everyone was on AIM and like everyone was talking on AIM, and like that probably like died like maybe like mid-college for me, like because like it was a big staple of like my high school career. Like talking to like my friends on AIM. So like that was big for me. Like I'm trying to remember like what else I even did. Like MySpace was like a thing back then. Cause I didn't get Facebook till like college. Cause I'm so old that like I was part of the generation where you had to actually be in college to be on Facebook. Yeah, it used to be like when it first came out, it was like you have to be a college student. So I remember like getting my application for college. It was like a big deal that like I could make a Facebook page. Like, so like in order to like have that, it was crazy. So that wasn't a thing for me till like 2006, but like before that, like I had MySpace, and like I was really big on that. Like you could customize the page and like do the music and all that crap. So that was really big. I remember I had like a little like Angel Fire website for like my figure fed and stuff.
Not
too.
Angel Fire. Oh my God, I haven't heard that in like 20 years.
Oh my, yeah, listen, knock Angel Fire all you want, but like it honestly like taught me a good amount that like I feel like translates really easily to like WordPress or something like that.
Yeah, that's
like,
a good point.
Yeah, so like I'm almost thankful for those shitty little websites, because I did learn a good amount about like web building that kind of really helped me prepare myself for the parts of my life. So like so like honestly, like stuff, I still put like diva dirt on like resumes and stuff like that when I like go for jobs. And like I mean like I don't like word it like women's wrestling, I'm like women's empowerment, like and then like when it gets down to it I have to explain it, but like but I did learn a lot about like website building and web stuff from that. So
Yeah, because it's crazy to think that like that era just like really was like the beginnings of like digital communications like really becoming a career. Because I think even like right when you were starting like Diva Dirt TV on the YouTube channel, like that was really kind of like the beginnings of like YouTube really being seen as a career path.
Oh, for real. Like no one was. I remember when they presented the idea of me doing that too. It was still even very new for the Diva Dirt team. because they were like, well, what are we going to do? Like, what's the point of like Jake doing this portion? Like, we have all this written stuff on the website. And Melanie at the time was like, former like Diva Dirt editor-in-chief, like way back in the day, before Erin the Amazing took over. And she was like, well, this is like to like break into, like, she understood media. She understood like different content for sure. So like we definitely got into the YouTube space, and I think that really helped. Like still, I mean, like definitely gave like a false impression too, because like a lot of people think like I was in charge of Diva Dirt too. Like I still meet people who think that. I'm like, oh no, I was like part of the team, but like, but like I did a lot, but like no, it was not just me. There were so many amazing, talented people there, but like, it really helped. I mean, like, and I've like talked to like DS about this too. He's like, you know, like a lot of like what you guys were doing kind of inspired me to start my channel and stuff like that. So, you know, it's very cool. And it's a small little like legacy, like I kind of helped put out there. And I mean, the videos were nothing amazing. Like they were just like basic stuff. Like, I think like, I didn't even edit the first couple of them. Then like I was like, I have some like editing background, I could do these, and they weren't like anything special, but like it was fun, and I enjoyed doing that portion and kind of like expanding my video knowledge.
Yeah, because I think like the early memories I always have of that channel were Diva Dirt Countdown, where it would always be insert random pop instrumental here.
Yeah.
I think what
yes.
I can't remember, it was like, I think there's one video, it's like Problem, and it's just like, I don't know if it's like 5 most underrated women's champions or whatever.
Probably. That was like probably circa 2014, so that makes sense.
And you probably know who won that poll. It was probably
underrated
Lita.
Women's champions was probably Lita. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lita
won almost every countdown.
Lita won every countdown. Oh my god, all the countdowns. Oh my, Lita fans. Oh my god.
I mean, Lita fans still to this day saying, hey, where is she on the podcast? But if they listened, they would know that they're not in that part of 2003
That
yet.
is my favorite. You know what? We're like about a month or two out from Lita's return, and I am so excited to not have to deal with those people anymore. I can't wait.
Yep, we have her, and then for the next 2 years, it's all peachy key until she tears her ACL. So.
Yep, so.
Good times, good times. But I mean, obviously, something else that you were doing aside from just the YouTube stuff with Diva Dirt was the podcast side of things. So, originally starting as an after show for Total Divas, which crazy to think that you guys were actually getting pressers for Total Divas and putting them up as exclusives. So
Cool.
What was that like with NBC Universal and everything? Like, I'm very curious to see like what happened with the site that they were able to get that for the first season.
Sure. So, I mean, like, they reached out to us, I believe, and Erin was the main point of contact. She was always, the best thing about Erin is we would get so many opportunities she would set up through the company, but she never really wanted to take them for herself. She was like, hey guys, I think you'd be good at this. Why don't you do this? Like, amazing. What a leader. She was so good to her team. And she really, I think, helped a lot of us like grow as individuals and grow in our talents. Like, I know Chris and I have both said, like, we give her like all the credit in the world. She's incredible. So yeah, it started as a Total Divas after show. They approached me, and I didn't really even know Chris at this time either. They're like, we think Chris, you, and Erin was like, and myself would like be a really good group to do this like Total Divas after show. And like, I didn't really know Chris at all. So like, and like, I knew Erin like professionally, like, you know, like we weren't talking all the time. So like, we're like, all right, we'll see how this goes. And like, you can actually like literally hear in like the evolution of it. Like, it just started to get like wild and crazy and fun. And we were like, hey, do we just want to make this like Diva Dirt Weekly and talk about like everything? Cause I think we were like getting to the end of the season or something, but it progressed into that, and it was a good like 3 years running, I believe, too. We would do a weekly podcast, and it, like literally there were like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks we didn't do it, but like we did this like almost every week, and we would record this after Raw. So
but you wouldn't say after all. You had to kayfabe it for the podcast.
Yeah, so like
we Tuesday morning as we're doing.
Yeah, like so it'd be like 11 o'clock at night on a Monday that would be doing these, and sometimes they'd go till like 2 a.m. Like we'd be like talking, and And we'd go through like everything because like we were talking about like everything on Raw, on SmackDown, eventually NXT, TNA stuff sometimes. Like it just definitely like it really encompassed everything. And we even, in addition to that, like not just Diva Dirt Weekly, but we also did a lot of like audio interviews as well. Our favorite, like Chris and I did with Caitlin, also known as Celeste. We Brooke Tessmacher, Taryn Terrell, Terry. We got to interview like so many incredible women. And the show itself, like it was just so cool. And it was kind of like an earlier version of Ring the Bell. Like, like a lot of people were like, like this was like my like original Ring the Bell. And like there's a whole generation now who has like never listened to it or knows what it is. But like it was something really cool we were doing at the time and just having fun with. And it was so cool meeting people who were like, oh my God, I love this show. I listen to it every week. And that really is where like my love for podcasting came from. So I'm really thankful for that show, and I'm really thankful for my time at Diva Dirt and the opportunities it provided me.
Yeah, I would say that was probably like the first real like episodic podcast I got into too, just like, oh hey, I'm a women's wrestling fan. Oh wait, like they're actually talking about everything.
Yes.
Now, where did the characterization of some of these women come in? Because it started out very much like straight review, and then
right. Oh yeah. So I remember this specifically. We were talking about like some, we would obviously like go on tangents a lot in the show, and like it would like veer off and be like, oh my God, remember this? So like I remember one time we were talking about like the episode of Raw of like who called the cops on Stephanie. Kind of like we were talking on Triple H, I'm sorry, and like it was like kind of like that, and it was a segment with like Stephanie and Triple H and Eddie and Chyna and Kurt Angle, Mick Foley, Test and Trish. So I think like I just like wanted to, and this is just something I've like always done, like not on the podcast and stuff like that. I'm a big Chyna fan, but like she has such a distinct voice, like, and I was like, listen, the only man I have eyes for is Eddie Guerrero. This
is like when Chyna's on YouTube, so like you could hear that voice every week.
Yeah, so like Aaron and Chris just like lost it, and then like it just like it turned into like all these characters. Like some of our, like I loved our Terry character was my favorite to do.
I still have like one of the best memories of the Terry characters. So this was back in the day when, before I was even like doing anything podcasting, I was a live tweeter.
Oh my God, yes.
Magic Impact every damn Tuesday, like at random points of the day, just listening to the episode. And God, it was like, so preface this, it's like the year 2015. For whatever reason, Dixie Carter, as portrayed by Chris Riddle, decided that she was going to run for president, not of the United States, but of TNA Wrestling. And her vice presidential candidate was her personal assistant, Terry Runnels. And I don't know if it was just like, God, it was like a random night on Twitter. I'm scrolling through and I see a picture of Terry and Jesse Goddard's or whatever, like at some sort of wrestling con. So I quote tweet it, not thinking anything of it. I'm just like, working for Dixie sure has its perks, and I tag you guys. And Terry ends up liking the damn tweet. I'm like, no, cut it. And then hearing it play out in real time on the recording was like the funniest thing. It's like, oh fuck, we broke the fourth wall.
I remember where Terry came from too. So like the first time we like talked about Terry was like, we were like, remember when Terry was like a backstage interviewer, like randomly, and like we were talking about that. I was like, yeah, she would always be like, let's talk about the match, and like and then like that became like the funniest thing to us. Even though I don't even know if she even ever said that, but like
I don't think she did, but damn it took off on its own.
You know what though? I really wish like when we were doing the Terry character though, I had actually watched some of her interview stuff again, because we're on Diva Dirt, on Golden Era podcast. We cover her segments and then always like cut off what the men are saying. But like some of the stuff she says is like actually really funny. She's just like, I'd really rather just interview. Like it's just like,
or like when Kane was unmasked and Bischoff's trying to be like, no, I don't want to do that.
No, I don't want to do that. And then, like he's like, go find Kane, and she's just like, Kane, Kane. So, but like, it's just like, but we just turned Terry into like a hybrid of like over sexualized and just like everything she said was sexual. And like, it's just like, and we told her about this too. When we interviewed her, I was like, so we do an impression of you. And it's just like over sexualized. She's like, I love it. Like, she's so funny. But like, we did everyone, and like the impressions were god awful. Nothing like the people.
No,
like,
I'd say your natty is pretty close to home.
Oh well, thank you so much. You know, with the WrestleMania reading challenge, you guys.
Tis the season. Tis the season. It's next Saturday.
Wait, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, like,
which I do believe Machiavelli is the cat that is still alive.
Yes. So we just had, but we had so much fun with it. And honestly, what I love about Golden Era podcast too is like we're still doing that, where we're doing like a lot of impressions a lot of time, but it's like literally the words they're saying. Like, so like, it's like actually like taking the actual comments that they're saying and just like, so good. And like now hearing it again, we can do some better impressions, but,
Rose colored glasses, right?
Yeah. Rose colored glasses. So like, but we're having so much fun with it. And just like, I don't know, I live for like comedy kind of stuff, and it's something we love. It's taken lightly, and it's just like, it's always been something that makes us happy and laugh. So whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that it's something that doesn't take itself too seriously, because I don't even think that era was taking itself very seriously at all.
No.
To think about some of the things that they were doing, especially like I know it's coming up in a couple of weeks where you have the whole like Billy Gunn and Tori storyline going on with Nydia
I think that's
and Jamie Noble.
2 weeks from now. This week we're covering the match where the clip I'm like cutting the clips for this week, and I was like, dear God, and like Tori's like, well, Jamie Noble, I'm so confident in Billy's abilities, all of them, that if you beat him, I'll sleep with you on SmackDown. I was like, on SmackDown? Like, so that segment I know is coming up. So it's so funny, like my non-wrestling fans, because like I try to do as much promo as I can. I have a decent social media following, but like all my friends who don't watch wrestling, sometimes the clips in there, case in point, the Stephanie one with Sable with the food fight this week, they're like, what the fuck is your show about? Like,
it's the best, it's the worst, like, it's what we grew up with.
Yeah,
it's like a nostalgia trip in the best way.
Jose, it really just explains how truly deranged we are as people. So.
Just completely unhinged, really.
So, you know what? I love it. I fully embrace.
Yeah, and I think my favorite part is all the different non-wrestling asides that somehow involve the Spice Girls of all things.
Yeah, you know what is so funny to me? Joey and I have like, through doing the show, have like figured out how many things we have in common, oddly. Like, we both have like insane. Like, I was just like, it's like we lived the same childhood, but in like different worlds. I'm like, wait, what? I was like, you were obsessed with the Spice Girls? What? And like, we both have this weird obsession. Like the weirdest things he'll say would be like, oh my God, wait, you loved Happy Meal toys? Like, it's just like weird things that we're both really into. But Spice Girls come up so often on this show. I don't know how. It just flows like that.
So when are we getting the video of you two together just walking around LA to say you'll be there?
So, you know, Joey's going to be in LA, so I think it's coming. So.
I have not had FOMO for Mania in so long. Like, I still don't know how I went last year. No one else seemed to have won.
I had a thing that I wasn't going to go to Texas because this was like...
It was before it got as bad as it was, but yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. So, but you know, we're going to miss it. Well, come next year for sure, though, because it's in Philly, so...
Oh, no. Trust and believe, my ass is going to be there whether I'm booked or not, so...
Good. Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, I was even on the fence about going this year. LA is like not the easiest city to get around. Like, and we were actually going to stay with my friend Mike. Doug and I ended up getting a hotel, just because... we like our space. Doug sleeps.
I feel that.
So, yeah. So, and honestly, like, I'm not a light traveler. Like, I bring a lot of shit with me. So, I was like, this will be easier for us. But I was on the fence about it. I ended up getting like the WrestleMania package thing, like that. Mike got it too. So like my seats are not like I usually like try to get like really close, but I'm like they're like in the whatever section. I was like whatever, you know what? I don't even give a shit. Like I was like it's LA, it's an expensive trip. It'll just be fun because I haven't gone to one since 2019, and I used to go like every year.
Yeah,
so,
I was gonna say. I think the last time you went was what, the 35, where the
35,
yeah,
time, yeah. So and then I was supposed to go the year after that, but pandemic, and then after the year after that, I was just like, ooh, it's still a little COVID-y. Like,
yeah,
so, like,
yeah. That was the year that instead of us going to Tampa, we ended up saying, "Fuck it, we're gonna go see Chris in North Carolina." And we just
love
partied at
that.
his place.
Love that. But yeah, no, I was iffy about it. And then the year after that was Texas. And but this year I was like, you know what? California is a pretty cool state. I can manage that. So we'll see. And then obviously I'm going to go next year. So
yeah, I wish SummerSlam wasn't in Detroit. I mean, it's easy to get to, but it's just like, what is there to do?
That's how I felt too. So yeah, like I went to SummerSlam. I went to SummerSlam though the last 2 years. It was in Vegas, which is like one of my all-time favorite cities. And so I definitely would go. I knew how to navigate like so easily. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go to this. And Chris was like, yeah, I want to go. I was like, okay, cool. We'll stay at this hotel. It's walking distance from the stadium. We're good. So we managed that. And then this past year it was in Nashville, which is another city I know really well. So I was like, all right, yeah, Nashville's very cool too. So that was a lot of fun. But this year I'm going to have to pass on Detroit. So it does not scream summer to me.
Yeah, I mean, it just like when I think Detroit, I just think auto, and I'm like, no, I don't want to think.
Yeah, I don't like it. So I don't know. So hopefully next year it'll be somewhere more fun. But you know what? I'm doing Mania this year. That's cool. I'm trying to do like maybe like one big pay-per-view a year. So yeah.
I mean, the good thing is at least like with Philly, you're in a good area where you at least get like a good rotation of stuff.
Yeah,
too, so.
That's really, really, honestly, it's such a blessing to like live in Philly. Like we have a good amount of shows. Like we have a good amount of like Raws and SmackDowns. We had Extreme Rules this year. So I don't know if they have anything. We just had the Raw 30th, but they haven't announced anything yet. But I'm sure we'll have something between Mania and now. So.
Yeah, and then, I mean, now I'm kind of curious, too, so this is kind of a fun little aside, but, like, out of all those shows that you went to at Philly, like, any standout, like, moments from what hometown show?
Ooh. I'm trying to think of, like, I've been to a lot. So.
I have one that stands out to me, and I can't believe, like, I was there for that just because it's only happened once, which is kind of criminal. I was there for Beth versus Natty.
Oh,
which ended up
that's
being like not
one.
too long before Beth retired too, so it's like last hometown show for her and everything. Like,
wow,
it was such a chill SmackDown too. But like, you wouldn't think like that would be like an iconic moment, or like Mae Young's last pay-per-view, like at that Armageddon where Jeff Hardy won the title or whatever. So like,
yeah. I think for me, my two standouts were definitely so this house show I went to in like July of 1999, just because it was such a fun house show and the fans were so rowdy, and it was the first time I got to see China live, so that was very, very cool for me. So I'll never forget that. And then the first ever Women's Royal Rumble was right here. So
oh my god, I forgot that was in Philly.
Yep, and that was definitely one of the coolest and most surreal things I've seen in person. I cried, obviously. So like,
I need to do a Rumble.
Yeah, really that honestly, Jose, cannot recommend enough. I've done the 2018 one. I did last year's, the 2022. And
I want to know where 2024 is going to be.
I hope somewhere good, not Texas, please. So, and,
I mean, that was my reason for not going this year. So
yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to think where it could be this year. I could see New York being a front runner. That'd be great.
I mean, the only problem is that they've been doing like football stadiums. So for New York in January,
yeah. So that MetLife is shit. So hopefully not there. I don't know. I'm trying to think where like has like a good, maybe Florida.
Yeah. Although I do have FOMO for Backlash being in Puerto Rico because I'm
sure.
Yeah.
If
you've never gone to San Juan, it's the most beautiful city I've ever been to, and you don't even need a passport. Like,
that's awesome. It's so cool that they're like, expanding their horizons a little bit too and doing shows like not normal places than they normally, because we haven't had a Puerto Rico pay-per-view since like 2005.
Yeah, New Year's Revolution, and then this year they're doing
Wow.
Money in the Bank in London, which is
That's sick.
phenomenal.
That's awesome.
So
I love that. Gives other people more options. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure where we'll see Rumble this year, but I do hope it is somewhere that's doable because just honestly, Jose, like the Rumble is just so much fun
yeah.
to go to and so awesome. The energy is just really great at it.
Yes, that is definitely on the wrestling bucket list for sure. So, I mean, obviously, wrestling has played a huge part in your life. We did kind of touch on your China influences too, which also played a little part into your wedding too.
For
So, I mean,
sure.
like the peacock accent, and then kind of having a ring-announcing style reception introduction by
Yeah.
Celeste as well too. So, from what I hear, like this is like the wedding of all weddings.
Yeah, my husband's really great with that kind of stuff. I really wanted like a few like wrestling touches to the wedding, but like not. I didn't want it to be like, ooh, a wrestling wedding, but like still like have touches of it. So like, like there were like Celeste introduced us and like this awesome promo and stuff like that for us and like great intro. But yeah, I definitely wanted a few China touches. She had a lot to do with me, personally. It's just like, I think I've always gained a lot of my confidence from her. I think I looked at her as like not just a woman defying barriers, but like a person defying barriers. And I've always kind of felt like a little misunderstood and misjudged when I was younger, and not really fitting into any particular mold. I think I knew like fairly early on, like I was gay. I wasn't like all the other boys. I don't want to play sports, so I never really fit in with the boys. Never really fit in with the girls because like I wasn't a girl. So like it was just kind of like hard for me to find my place. So like I think I saw her as someone who was doing her own thing and paving her own way and not caring about what barriers were in her way. And that really inspired me in a lot of ways. And I think that's one of the reasons I was able to really start showing my personality more. I mean, like, case more, like putting yourself out on the internet is scary in itself. So like, I take a lot of confidence from her to like being able to put myself out there like that. But I love her and she had a lot of influence on me, and I think like being able to live my life openly. So I had a few touches for her. I had an intercontinental title belt buckle that I wore for her, and then obviously like her Judgment Day. I've talked about it so many times, but like her Judgment Day ring entrance is one of my favorites of all time. So I had like a big peacock thing made that I came out in, and we had like little peacock accents throughout the wedding. Also, like another one of my influences, the Bellas. I wore like halfway through the reception when my hair started to get a little messy. I put on like my bedazzled Nikki Bella hat. So yeah, no, but it was very cool. Chris put together an awesome video of like some of my wrestling family and like a few wrestlers like giving us well wishes. It was very, very cool. Like wrestling is such a huge part of my life, and I thought it was really great to incorporate in some capacity.
Yeah, no, it definitely speaks volumes to the fact that you were able to cultivate so much from something that really doesn't give as much back as people would hope that it would, especially for the performers. But somehow you found like a secondary family through it, which is phenomenal.
I really have. Like, if anything, that's what I love the most. Like, I've met so many incredible people like you, like people from Divadur, people on Twitter, Instagram, all those people, like Bella Army people. I've met so many awesome people who just like love wrestling, and I love talking to them. I love hearing what they're into. I love seeing how much it's done for them also. And it's just so cool. It's like this little thing we all have in common that really, I think, has shaped us in different ways, but in our own personal way. There's something for everyone in wrestling, and what everyone takes away from that is very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you did speak a little bit about this too. Obviously, China playing a big part of your early life, but even in your adult life, really finding such a bond and an attraction to the Bella twins, where like you've really become like a symbol for everything that they were able to do with their own community too. So, I mean, like, how did it really start to pan out where you were really like one of the kingpins of the Bella Army or whatever they're gonna morph it into now that they have departed from WWE?
Yeah, I mean the word they've been thrown out is Garcia Gang, but like we'll see if that sticks. But like,
I mean, I hear that and I just kind of think of West Side Story. So,
so I think they said we're gonna still call it Bella Army, but we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, the thing with Nikki and Brie is it's so funny though too, because I get this all the time because some people feel that like Bellas and China are two totally opposite sort of people in the world of wrestling. For me, I think there's actually a lot more similarities between them than anything. I think they were both misjudged. All three of them, I'm sorry, were misjudged, and something people thought they shouldn't be. And they all really defied that and showed there's so much more and really broke a lot of barriers. And for me, the Bellas really encompassed a lot of that. And I really got into them during my time at Diva Dirt, to be honest. I loved that they came in as models, and like a lot of people were like, oh, okay, well, like they're this, that, and the other. But like I could really see the passion they had for wanting to grow as performers, and seeing their progression week to week was so cool. And I loved what they were doing with Total Divas and drawing in a new audience. And for myself as a gay man, making it a more accepting place. More women were watching, more gay men were watching. And like you were a fan of wrestling before like all of them came in too. So like it was very different going to shows. Yeah. So like now it's like it feels much more like you're with family than like an outcast like a sea of like hetero men. I really appreciate what they've done for wrestling in that respect. And for me, just like, like writing about them and covering them and just like really getting involved with it has been so cool. And I think my connection with them really started through Kathy, their mom. Who was always such a supporter of anything I was writing on Diva Dirt and was always sharing it and like would message me and be like, thank you so much for like your positive words about them and like just always being so kind about them. And I was just like, oh, you don't have to thank me, thank them. Like they're amazing. And then around like Evolution is like when I really started to like gain the first time I met them in person was like actually when I was leaving Diva Dirt. I had met Brie years before in like 2010, but we don't talk about that because I looked a hot mess that day. But the first time I met them was like it was Brie's retirement match. Nikki was in her neck brace, and it was like their line was ridiculous. And my friend had Derek had like a thing, and he's like, hey, he's like, would you want to stand in the ADA line with us? And I was like, ooh, I don't know, I feel a little weird about that. And he's like, no, like don't worry about it, like you're with us. So like I was like, okay. So I waited with them, and like they like cut the line off. There was like a little girl who was like sobbing hysterically, and I said to her dad, I was like, I can like pick this girl up over the barricade if you want, like, and like she can like stand with us. And he's like, okay, and like threw his daughter over the line for us, and like I was like okay, but like, oh, she was so cute though. Oh my god, I'll never forget that little girl. She was like crying, and she's just like, I love them so much. And like if anything, I'm so happy I could make that happen for that girl. But she was amazing. But I met the girls. They knew exactly who I was. Brie was like, we're leaving the same time, before I even told her it was my last day. Like she's like we're both going out together, and I was like, that makes me so happy. Like and it was so cool. I remember like shaking. It was the first time I was like really like starstruck. And then like years later, Kathy reached out and was like, hey, someone from E is going to be getting in contact with you, like blah, 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 blah. And the producer for their show called. They said, hey, Nicole wants you to do the emceeing for this pep rally they're doing. She asked for you personally. And I was like, okay, yeah. So like I had to like write a script. It was like the day before they got me up there. We did rehearsals and everything. The girls came in. They were so amazing. And yeah, it just came together so quick, and it was so cool. And like since then we've been in contact. We've tried to make a few other things happen, but like they haven't been like we wanted to do a pep rally before their Rumble return. And like she's like, oh, they have us in so many things, we can't get it done. So but like we were gonna have some stuff for their Hall of Fame induction that didn't pan out. So it's just like, but it's very cool that they've always kept me in mind. I've done like Zoom parties for like the Bella Army, and they always pop in when they can. So it's very cool, and I feel very honored to be a part of that group and to be such a supporter of them and everything they stand for.
Yeah, and I will say it is very poignant that you mentioned that you were leaving the same time that Brie was leaving, Nikki still being injured, on the weekend that the Divas Championship was officially retired.
Yeah. It
Which is crazy
felt,
to think.
yeah, honestly, like, if anything, it felt so right to be stepping away at that time. I felt like at that point I had done everything I could do in Diva Dirt, and I know Aaron was planning on leaving as editor-in-chief, and it's just like, it was becoming to a point where it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
And I know, like, Chris and I had, like, talked about this before, like, even making the decision. I was like, I think it's right that we step away from this. So, we bowed out. And I'm glad we did when we did. Unfortunately, like, Diva Dirt isn't not what it was when we were there anymore. I wish it still
Not even
was.
close, unfortunately.
Yeah. But it felt right for me, at that point in my life and where I was at my life. It's weird to think like that was like 7 years ago or whatever at this point now. But the retirement of the championship, Brie retiring, it could not have been more of a sign that this was the point in my life that I needed to start my next chapter.
Yeah, and I will say, like, life or for anyone, whether it's professionally or personally, it really does come in eras. So it kind of did feel like that time was truly an end of an era, and kind of seeing how things have really progressed over the last, 6-7 years already. Like, a lot of those first came and went, now they're just the norm. We've gotten to see so many important moments in history finally get to happen because of women like them that really helped lay the foundation and really don't get the credit they deserve, which is insane to think.
No, and I love the way you worded that. Like, life really does come in eras, and like but you feel it internally too. Like, like I'm right now, like, at a point where like I'm starting my next era. Like, I'm looking for a new career, like, right now. And it's just like in this transitional period, it definitely feels like, wow, what is my life going to be? But it's exciting at the same time.
No, I like that too, because I mean, you see it kind of thrown out jokingly, like, oh, I'm in my villain era, or I'm going to be like doing, like, in a joking sense, sure, but like it really does show that it's a sign of growth. It's a sign of evolution, that things really can progress when you know that it's time to do so. So it shows a lot of maturity, and it shows a lot of wisdom that people might not always have.
And at the time, it's so difficult almost to close that door on that part of your life. But when you look back at it, it feels so right. I'm like, where would I be if I had like continued doing that and been pushing myself and frustrating myself and not achieving what I want to achieve with that? Like, I feel like sometimes like stepping away from what you know isn't right for you is the best thing you can do with your life.
Yeah, agreed. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be able to remember something. You don't want to be able to resent it. And
absolutely.
It feels like knowing those moments, like, okay, now it's time to move on. It really does help you hold on to something fonder than what could have fizzled out into something much worse.
Completely. I completely agree.
Yeah, so I mean, this has been a phenomenal conversation. So aside from the golden era, what do you think this next era has in store for you?
I'm not really sure right now. Looking for a new professional career. So we'll see where that lands me. That's still up in there. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm really just like looking forward to growing Golden Era more. Joey and I have been talking about new ideas and like a lot of things we're going to be doing with our Instagram account to really promote that. Trying to set up a merch store finally. Reaching out to Pro Wrestling Tees to maybe see if we can get something on there.
Oh, wow. That would be phenomenal.
I would love that. So that'd be great. I mean, because like we have like a few like merch ideas. I mean, I just ordered like a bunch of crap for myself, like that I'm gonna like send Joey something. Like I ordered like a Golden Era phone case, which is gonna be so cute because the Golden Era part is going to be gold foil, and then the rest will be like the regular colors.
Oh, shit, they do that now?
Yeah, Etsy, baby. So I was like, I have an oddly specific request. So, but yeah, so I'm excited about that. And then like, like I'm speaking on a panel at my alma mater, Cabrini, in a week. Oh, that's next Wednesday. Yeah, day before I leave for LA. Dumb planning. Wow. But yeah, so they're having like a podcast panel. They invited me to speak on that about the success of the show, kind of filling the students about like what you need to do to have a successful podcast, which is so cool. But I really I want to grow that into Joey and I are already so proud of it, but I want to see how far we can take this.
Yeah, just know there's a lot more than just you guys that are very proud of this project and really seeing all that you've been able to do. You have a whole legion of supporters that are just waiting for whatever's going to come from it, because we know it's going to be phenomenal. You guys hold yourselves to a standard for your content, and it shows with the way that you carry yourselves, the way you interact with your community. It's just a fun, cultivated place for like kitschy fun stuff, which you don't always get on the internet nowadays.
No. And it is so, like, honestly, the community, like, we built through this is my favorite thing. Like, it is just so cool. And it's so weird. Like, sometimes I'll get, like, random people who, like, have nothing wrestling related, like, on their Instagram and stuff like that. Like creepy hairy men or whatever. And they're like, hey, I love your podcast. Like, I'm just like, what? like, I was like, I thought you were just an Instagram slut. But, like, no, you're a fan. Like, but it's so cool. And I love doing it. I'm just so happy doing it right now.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal getting to see how much traction you guys have had. And it also shows that there can be more to social media than just exclusive content links, which, hey, if you got it, more power to you.
Flaunt it. Yeah, baby. Make that money.
So, speaking of making that money, Jake, where can people find you?
Sure. You guys can find me on Instagram at Jake Not Jacob Smith, on Twitter at Jake Isn't Jacob. Also follow Golden Era Podcast. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Golden Era _pod. The show is on all podcast platforms. And if they have the capabilities of leaving a review, please leave us 5 stars. Helps us move up in those power rankings.
Absolutely. And when you're done listening to this, go give them a listen too. You guys are really going to enjoy it. Even if you don't go in knowing anything about that era of women's wrestling.
Totally.
Chances are you're going to find something that sticks out to you. You're going to go down the rabbit hole, and then you're going to be looking back saying, damn, they really were doing so much more than they ever should have been allowed to do.
Absolutely. It's very different than what you'll see on wrestling now.
Okay, and then kind of before my little outro, like one hidden gem from the Golden Era that anyone should, like, immediately after this episode, that's what they need to see.
Oh, great question. So I would say immediately after this episode, hidden gem. This is one of my personal favorites. So there was a pay-per-view, Backlash 2003, and throughout the evening there was a storyline with Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson, and Test, Stacy's boyfriend at the time, was hitting on Tori in the first segment, and Tori was not into it. She's like, "Leave me alone." Test forced a kiss on her. So Tori was feuding with Sable at the time. So Sable started some drama and went to Stacy and said, "I hate to tell you this, but Tori was kissing Test." And Stacy's like, "What? Not Tori." And then Tori confronts Stacy. They get in a brawl in the women's locker room. It stops. The girls all break it up. Then they fight again in the hallway. And this is the real golden gem. Tori pushes Stacy into like a cabinet. And to this day, we don't know if it was planned or not. I'm going with not. A huge box of supplies falls on Stacy's head. And Stacey's just like, ah! But it just like crashed on there. Like, I was like, I don't think that was intentional.
Man, there's just so much from that era that I could always look back and like, damn, how did they do that?
Crazy. Like, it is unreal the amount of stuff they got away with back then. I'm just like, this is like, we're talking about like an orgy storyline right now. I'm not even kidding. Like, so there's that.
I will say my hidden gem is not anything from Raw, SmackDown. It wasn't even Heat. It was a WWE.com exclusive match. Super Stacy versus Victoria.
Ooh, great match. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Isn't that so funny? Oh, thank you for reminding me of that. We're going to have to cover those exclusive matches, like, when we get to that. Because then they get tricky. They're so annoying.
Yeah, and then, like, they have, like, I think it was that. I think there's, like, a .com match where it's, like, the lingerie pillow fight that Christy and Stacy couldn't have on SmackDown because the network wouldn't allow it.
Yes.
And, like, it was, like, what would become kind of, like, the WWE app and, like, Peacock kind of thing.
It's so, I forgot when they were doing that. It's like, it was their, like, breaking into, like, the web, like, being like, we need exclusive, because this is, like, pre-YouTube, too. Like,
yeah, like, I think it was, like, after, like, the Taboo Tuesdays, like, seeing, like, how the live stream part of it was, but, like, I think it was, like, the first time they really started to, like, aggregate online content.
That's so funny. Oh my God, I love it.
But yeah, I mean, speaking of aggregating online content, you could always follow me on my socials, Jose on the Air. You could still find me on Twitch here and there. That's the last place that I am, Jose Can You See, talking about eras.
Oh my God, that's the last place you still have that?
Yeah.
Wow!
I mean, talking about new eras, I mean, obviously, like, now getting to do more commentary stuff, like, really trying to, like, be
I got
me
it.
again, which is kind of crazy to think that, like,
That's awesome.
this seems to be the year to do that for a lot of people, but yeah, thank you guys so much for being here for this first season of the show. We are going to be taking a little hiatus and coming back in the later spring. I am so grateful for everything and everyone that's been a part of this. Make sure to go back and watch some old episodes. We've had everything from YouTube reactors. We've had Twitch live streamers. We've even dabbled in a little bit of exclusive content. We've had some wrestling friends on here as well. The chances are there's going to be something that you would probably enjoy. So thank you so much, and I will see you in season 2. Take care, everybody.